All right, welcome to the show. Lauren Grace here, and I am joined today by Lyndy Guevara. She is an intuitive Reiki master teacher and has been practicing that healing modality for 14 years. She's been attuned to the UC Holy Fire tradition as well as in Dr. Miyako Yusi's Reiki Crystal of Awakening method. Now, Lyndy will let me know if I did not pronounce that correctly when I give her a moment to speak in just a second here. Lyndy is a lifelong learner, and she enjoys researching the many different ways Reiki can be used to heal. Her field of study includes spirituality, shamanism, journeying, and meditation. Lyndy is passionate about bringing Reiki to as many people as possible, and she is joining me now to talk about all things Reiki. Hi, Lyndy. Thank you so much for being on the show. Woohoo!
Hi, Lauren. Thank you for having me.
The thing is, when I read people's bio, I'm always like, oh, wait a minute. I'm really interested in talking to you about journeying and shamanism, but we're not going to do that today. We can always maybe set up a secondary interview, because when we are dealing with these themes like Reiki, we really need the entire length of time. So I guess in your own words, can you tell me a little bit about how you first sort of got interested and I guess introduced to the concept of Reiki?
Yeah. So absolutely. So my journey into the Reiki world was real gentle. It was just kind of like a nudging. Sometimes you hear people and they'll be like, oh, I had this big awakening and all this. And those are wonderful things, but for me, it was like super gentle. I was taking a mediumship course. And in that course, my peers, my classmates, started talking about this, like the way they were saying it, it was a miraculous healing modality. And, my ears kind of perked up. And what are you guys talking about? And it was like they all knew. Everyone knew about Reiki. And it was totally foreign to me. I'd never heard of it before. So talking with them about it, I was super intrigued. And I just said, well, I've got to know more, because I wanted, I like to help people. And so I thought this would be amazing if I could help family and friends. This is amazing. So read up on it. And it didn't go much further. Like I read up on it, but then like soon afterwards, I went to a conference. And it's like those spiritual type conferences where you can take workshops, and then there's vendors and things like that. And there was a young gentleman doing massage, like for your neck and for your back, and just like a chair massage. And people were raving about him. So, I had a long day there. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go. I definitely want to go get a massage from him. So signed up, got my massage. It was incredible. It was like next level. So afterwards, I'm talking to him, and I really felt like, I don't know, it was just like a release. Like, yeah, he was doing a massage on my neck and my shoulders, but it was a release, like of, I don't know, maybe like emotions or something. So I'm talking to him afterwards. He's a Reiki practitioner. So I just thought, oh my gosh, Reiki. And the more he talked, the more I was convinced I needed to have Reiki incorporated into my life. So soon after, started doing some research, found a teacher, got my Reiki 1, and then just kept, the rest is history, just kept learning more about it. And then going on to Reiki level 2, then Reiki level 3, and then just kind of expanding from there. So that's how I got started. Like I said, it was like real, like gentle, but it's almost like coincidence after coincidence,
Coincidence. Yeah, exactly. And for our listener at home who is not watching the YouTube video, which we're now doing YouTube videos, Lyndy was putting quotes around coincidences, because we all know that coincidences are not necessarily just random.
Right. It was just the universe kind of like, the universe, the divine, they know me. They know that I don't like big abrupt changes. I don't like big surprises. I need to just kind of be led little by little, breadcrumbs. I have a friend that calls them breadcrumbs. So I just kind of followed the breadcrumbs, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so funny because it's almost as though when you're flowing with life, that's when these opportunities, at least in my experience, present themselves. It's kind of when you're going against the grain, when things become difficult, where you go, wait a minute, I'm not aligned here. But it sounds to me like you're just in grace and you're just flowing, and then these experiences find their way to you, or you're
Yes,
attracting them.
yes, absolutely.
So you did mention that Reiki is a healing modality. So for our listener at home, I did take my level 1 Reiki, so I do know a little bit, but it was a long time ago. I guess I would like it if you could describe a little bit about how Reiki sort of works, Lyndy. You did mention that when you were getting your massage, you almost felt like there was this internal release. Is Reiki kind of, I don't know, does it sort of get into your soul? You kind of talked about it being hands-on there. Is it hands-on? Can you kind of talk a little bit more about how it sort of is practiced, I guess?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I describe Reiki as a holistic energy healing modality. It's holistic because it concentrates on the whole individual, mind, body, spirit, emotions. It doesn't focus like on just one body part or one symptom or one ailment. It's not like take an aspirin for your headache. It's like, let's delve in a little deeper and find out why you're getting these headaches, okay? And heal at a deeper level. So that's the holistic part of it. And then the energy healing part is, we know through quantum physics, we know through different scientists, like Albert Einstein, that energy is all around us, right? And everything has energy. Depending on what the thing is that we're talking about, the frequency that it vibrates at is different. So Reiki energy vibrates at a very high frequency that's used specifically for healing. So that's where we come to, it's the holistic energy healing method. And I love Reiki because you don't have to be in the same room to help the person. So with Reiki level 1, I like to call that level, like for my classes, I call it healer, heal thyself. Because Reiki level 1 is when you take the time to get to know the energy and you heal yourself first. Okay. Reiki level 2 is more, and like if you think about it, if you had a light bulb, right? And it's like a 3-way light bulb, that very first Reiki level 1, you're just turning it on to the very first level. And so then Reiki level 2 is now it's when you like step into the light, right? And you crank up to the next level on your light bulb. And that's where more healing occurs, because at this point in time, then you reach out, you heal other people. You're able to heal in all manners of time and space. And if you're not familiar with Reiki, that might sound like it's not possible. It might sound like it doesn't work. But I get really excited because it does work. You can treat Reiki clients, family, friends who live across the world from you.
Amazing.
Reiki's an energy, and it travels. It travels. So that's level 2. And then level 3, that's finally the master teacher level. And the master title of it, there's no ego involved. It's more like you're going to be a lifelong learner. You are dedicating yourself to Reiki. You are going to live by the pillars of Reiki, and you're going to teach it, and you're going to bring it to as many people as possible. You're going to try to help and heal as many people as possible. So that is when the light bulb is like on full force on the 3rd level.
All right, that's great. I love that visual as well. So I do want to talk to you in a few minutes about some of the success stories, or I guess the miracles we could say, that you've witnessed during your practice. And I also am really curious about whether or not you can kind of endeavor to heal people if you yourself are unwell. But before we get to that, I am sort of curious a little bit more about I guess I always try to ask questions in case somebody at home is having an objection. So when I did my level 1, and obviously this was a long time ago, so I'm just going off my own experience. What we essentially did is the person would lie down, and then we would take our hands and like channel green light energy, I guess, from our crown out through our hands, and then kind of hover the hands over the person and then work on healing them in that way. So I'm wondering if that's how you practice your Reiki, or if that's just the standard. And then I'm also curious, how would you do that when you're talking about distance healing? Would you kind of imagine it in the same sort of way?
Mm-hmm. Those are really good questions. So with the Usui Reiki healing, there are symbols that are involved, and you do use either a very light touch, or you just hover, just like you said, put your hands like a couple centimeters above the person that's receiving Reiki. And there are specific hand placements that you learn in class. But then also you are encouraged to allow your intuition to speak to you, and when we say that, it is really the divine that's communicating with you and telling you what to do, what area to spend a little bit more time on. So, for example, a regular session may just start with me at the top, like, of the head, right? And then we go all the way down. We have these, like I said, different positions. We go all the way down until we're at the feet, right? And as I'm doing that, I might get a nudge, that says, you need to do this instead. Or, remember you were at the heart chakra a little bit ago, you need to go back. And so I do that, and I spend extra time there. Now, recently I was attuned to the Dr. Mikao Usui Reiki Crystal of Awakening, also as a master teacher. And that is just like another level, another perspective of Reiki, where I incorporate that into my regular practice. The thing with that method is that everything is done energetically to the point where you don't have to use your hands anymore. That one is a little bit different modality, in that your vibration comes directly from your heart chakra and out. So it's a lot of sitting still, really going deep into your meditation, and envisioning and asking and intending what you want done. So those are the two different modalities that I work with.
Okay, that's so cool. One of the themes that I always that comes up in these episodes with people all the time is like the concept of trust, and also the concept of intuition, and almost just listening to yourself and what's going to suit you. And so, do you think that there's like a little bit of almost permission or grace within the Reiki modality to kind of come up with your own sort of techniques, or like variations that you kind of talked about there? Or do you sort of need to stick to a blueprint and then you can add on?
Well, that's a really good question. I think it depends on, I think it really just depends on who your teacher is, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, I was taught these are the basic hand positions. Okay. If you veer away from them, it's because you're really getting called to do something a little different. Okay. And so it is a lot of knowing. It's almost like, I'm sure you've heard of this. You have to, who is that? Picasso that said it? I'm not sure. Know the rules so that you know how to break them. So
Right.
Yeah, right. So I feel like it's important to know the hand positions, to understand why you're doing them. And then if you're feeling so called to do a different hand position, then that's fine. But you should really know, be
Yes.
educated on what the basic is.
Yeah, yeah. I like that a lot. It's almost as though, you know the foundation, you can tweak the foundation, but it's important to, at least if you're going to say that you practice Reiki, that you understand what Reiki was built on, I guess, the principles of Reiki.
Yeah, and there are many different styles of Reiki. So Dr. Mikao Usui, which is the lineage that I learned under, um, before him, like he was around 1920s when he opened up his first clinic and when Reiki was rediscovered, when he rediscovered it. But before him, there were like at least 4 other documented styles of Reiki, you know? And so just depending which one you learn like either the 26 basic or you might learn 40, it just kind of depends. And there's some really, really good books out there if you're interested in a Reiki that show you above and beyond what those basic hand positions are. It'll show you all these different variations, how to treat, if someone comes in with a headache. So you give them, the whole, the whole Reiki experience, but then focus more on certain areas of the head or, just kind of depending. Anxiety is one thing, so there's so many different ways that you can move with a Reiki modality to help people.
That's really cool. And maybe at the end of this, you can let us know about some of those books, or even send me an email and I could just put them in the links in the show notes for our listener at home. So, Lyndy, you did kind of mention, you used the term the divine, and I kind of felt like you were using that in relation to, some of the messaging that you were getting inside.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering whether or not your Reiki healing comes from you, or whether or not you do credit it to being from source or the divine or God, or however people want to kind of label that.
So it does not come from me. I'm only the vessel, right? It does not come from me. I've been attuned to the Reiki energy, but really anyone that has an interest in it can be attuned to the Reiki energy, right? What happens when you're a Reiki practitioner is that the Reiki energy comes in through your crown, goes through your heart chakra, and comes out the palms of your hands. Okay. And so what the Reiki energy does is it heals the Reiki practitioner first because it's coming through us, and then it heals the receiver, right? And so it doesn't deplete me, it doesn't make me tired, it doesn't take any of my energy and give it on to the person receiving Reiki.
Yeah.
It is all divine energy. So Reiki, number one, is love, and it is healing. Okay, there's no negative side effects from Reiki whatsoever. You can never give too much Reiki. That's impossible. And it's a good thing that the receiver is not getting any of my energy, okay? Because
Yeah.
the receiver is getting divine energy. So
Yeah, it's like you're the conduit, essentially.
exactly. And in shamanism, we call that being the hollow bone. So
Oh, wow.
just
Oh,
being
that gave
hollow.
me goosebumps.
Yeah, it just being hollow, being very open, vulnerable, just allowing that energy to come through you. So a lot of times, that's like a mantra I'll say, or sometimes before I start the Reiki session, I'll say, I am a hollow bone. And as I'm doing the Reiki session, I might say the different mantras to myself. The different symbols have mantras. I'll repeat them. I'll say, I'm a hollow bone, I'm a hollow bone. And so just these different, just these different mantras, affirmations, just help me as I'm doing the healing session.
Yeah, I see how that would work, because I guess if you're reminding, yeah, again, it comes back to what you were talking about before, which is your intention. So if your intention is to just channel and to be that hollow bone that like is funneling through that energy, and as long as you continue to make your intentions known and clear, I guess, then that's it, so it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then just, that reminder, because also that opens me up to receive any messages that I need to give the client. So all that just helps to get me out of myself. Stop putting up those blocks in my mind or whatever. Just really opens me up, that I'm free to give.
So one of the things that came to mind when you were speaking is like the power, obviously, of intention, of trust, and all that. But it was also kind of the power of visualization. So I guess when I imagine you speaking, I kind of envision you in your mind's eye, seeing this energy coming down and out through your hands and into your client. And I guess I'm wondering whether or not, you need to really strengthen your visionary abilities. I guess we could use, for lack of a better word, your imagination as well, and sort of how you do that. Because I know that sometimes people have challenges with actually imagining the healing taking place or watching it kind of unfold, which in my experience has always been the way that that it worked, is to actually witness it. Can you talk on that for a little bit?
I can. And I brought these photos, or aura photos, and I know your listeners won't be able to see them, but maybe we can describe them, right?
Yes.
This helps. I show this to my students. So I'm sure you've heard of those like booths where you can get your aura photos taken.
Yes, but I've never had one done, actually.
Well, they're amazing. I think they're a lot of fun. So I did this experiment where I went with a Reiki friend. He was a Reiki client / friend, turned friend. And as you know, once you start to give people Reiki, it's like you make a whole bunch of new friends because Reiki's so amazing.
Yeah. Same as when we have a podcast.
There you go. Yeah. So I wanted to do this experiment. And so we went in, both of us together, and we had our aura photo taken. And this was the first photo. So I'm going to put it right there. Wow. You can see it maybe. You'll see that there's a lot of yellow, okay, and some purple, magenta right there. So, okay, so that is pre-Reiki, okay. The gold, I'm gonna have this right here because it's hard to remember, so I brought my notes. So the gold is transformation, awakening, higher inspiration. And you saw that like all above us, right? All above us here on our head. And then the purple and the violet is intuition, creative, mystical, spiritual, intuition, and supernatural abilities. Okay. So that is just plain old us there, right?
Just plain old, no big deal.
And then we took a break. I gave him Reiki for 20 minutes. Okay. Gave him Reiki for 20 minutes. And then we came back and we had another photo taken. So I'd like for you to see the difference here.
Oh, wow.
You see that heart chakra? It might not be as clear in the video, but there's green coming out of my heart chakra there.
It's hard to tell which part of your body it is. So I just see for myself a lot of like just incredibly beautiful color. Like it's just exquisite. And and there's this big, like, so before it was this beautiful purple and then topped with the golden yellow. And then now I guess it'll be maybe on the left side or
right here. Yeah, right here. Like
the green is just gorgeous. Yep.
And then look up here, that white. Right. So the green, and so at this photo, I am still giving him Reiki. So I've got my hand on his shoulder, giving him Reiki. And so you've got that visualization, right? So that's how students can then visualize, oh, that's what Reiki is. You've got this green coming out of my heart chakra for healing and growth. You've got the white, which is the divine that's coming in and swirling around us. You remember that white? That's right there.
Yes, that is exquisite.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the violet and the magenta is there, right? It's still there, that spirituality, that supernatural ability. So it makes it, like once people see a photo like that, then they're like, oh, so this is real. Like students are like, this is real.
Yeah.
We learn about the chakras, we learn about the different colors. And so then it's easier for them to visualize, okay, so when I go in there, I'm just going to be a conduit. I'm going to do my Reiki session, and I'm just going to imagine the white light coming in and green light coming out.
That's amazing. And for our listener at home, this is on YouTube. So you can just head to the Afterlight YouTube channel so that you can see that for yourself. It's about, well, you just look at the time that you're listening now. So probably around 27 minutes in or so. That's amazing, Lyndy. I've actually never, believe it or not, I've never seen an aura photo before.
They're so much fun. If you get the
Oh,
chance
wow.
to
I
get one
will.
done, yeah, do it. And then what you might want to do, Lauren, is the same thing where you go in first and then you step out and you give yourself Reiki. Your Reiki level 1, give yourself Reiki. Then
Yeah.
come in and then see how that changes for you.
Yeah. Okay. I will do that. And oh, yeah, I need to. Universe, I would like to attract that opportunity, please. Yeah, it's so cool. I guess it just, sometimes, Lyndy, I'm sure you can appreciate this. When we are talking about these subjects, it just sometimes it's just so amazing that you just think, how can it be true when it's just so beautiful and powerful and incredible? And then when you get visions like that or visuals like that, it's almost like our validation that, yeah, my imagination is legitimate. It is real.
Yes. Yeah, it is real. Yeah. And I have, uh, I can be super analytical, right? And so a lot of times, I'm like, yes, so I get, I can hear people are saying it made a difference to them, but I really need to see it and I need to study it. And really all you have to do is go out online nowadays. And there have been plenty of studies done on Reiki. And, there have been controlled experiments on people, on animals, and studies show that Reiki does make a difference with pain management. So there were studies done with extracting teeth, and they saw that when Reiki was given to an individual before they got their tooth taken out, that they were better able to handle pain. They were able to see that pre-surgery, people's anxiety levels decreased with Reiki. Post-surgery, um, patients didn't need as much pain meds, so they saw that pain decreased. They've been able to see that um, Reiki has helped Alzheimer's patients with their cognitive abilities. So they've tracked that. Yeah, and um, even with depression, symptoms of depression, they've been able to see that that's stress and depression decrease when people are given Reiki. So yeah, I mean it is more than just a feeling. I mean, Reiki really does work. We see it. We see the difference that it makes in um, our auras. And then we have studies that we can go back on now and say, wow, yeah, this really did work, huh? Who knew?
Amazing. I'd like to know in just a few minutes whether or not you have any personal stories of people that you've worked with and, kind of maybe their transformation. But before that, I do kind of feel that it seems like a lot of spirituality, a lot of spiritual practices are kind of almost with a Reiki foundation in a lot of them. Is Reiki kind of like one of those fundamental skills that if you're going to get into, healing as a modality, into spirituality as like a modality, I don't know if spirituality is modality actually, but I mean, if you're going to be exploring different modalities that you do kind of, you should put some emphasis on like practicing Reiki initially?
Um, well, it's my opinion, my humble opinion, that there should always be one Reiki practitioner in every family, in every household. Just because Reiki is, it's not anything you have to open up a book and memorize or spend years learning. It is something that is fairly quick. People can be attuned to it fairly quickly. And then once you're attuned to it, you can go home and you can learn more about it and learn different ways to use it. But just having that one individual at home know Reiki can just put their hands on you and on your shoulders, on your ankle, wherever, and just give you Reiki and help you out. I mean, that's super important in my opinion. Now you mentioned like you asked how important is Reiki maybe in learning these other spiritual modalities, right? And I'm not sure how to answer that, because I feel like there's different there's different ways, I think, that maybe Reiki has been used throughout history. Like we hear the laying of the hands, in religion, right?
Yes.
And so I was taught that Reiki has been around since time, that people have always used Reiki, but maybe it wasn't always used by that name, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, so I'm not sure it really answers your question.
I guess it just comes down to, following your own path. It just seems like when people talk a lot about healing, they do talk about the concept of imagining the light and
Yes.
being the hollow bone and things like. They don't use the hollow bone expression. I've never heard that before, but this sort of concept, I guess, of being the channel.
Yes, no, and I think that does have some of the same elements
Yeah.
that other modalities do, because of course that the divine white light, if it's not being channeled in through your crown chakra, people are wrapping themselves up in the divine light, um, to do a number of things, to like ease your anxiety, for protection, to cleanse a room, an environment. So yep, like that white light is definitely very present in a lot of the different things that we do in spirituality. Also that the heart healing, looking at the heart chakra, and sometimes when we meditate, we always think about your heart kind of vibrating out this green light. So yeah, I don't think it's specific to Reiki. I think that again, we there's many like same little factors and
Yes.
features, right, that are used in around the world, because at the end of the day,
We're all using the same ingredient, which is source love.
right, it's all
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all connected, right?
Yeah, I like that a lot. All right, if you're the hollow bone, Lyndy, and let's pretend you're unwell or you're having a rough day, okay? And you have a client booked that day. Can you actually be the conduit for a Reiki healing if you're not feeling at your optimum level? Because if you're the hollow bone, should it really matter? And then you were kind of talking about you receive a healing as well. So is it kind of like a bonus session for yourself?
Well, if I am not feeling well that day, um, depends. I will do some meditation on my own. I'll give myself Reiki, because I like to go into the session feeling ready, feeling whole.
Yeah.
Um, so if I am not well, I will have to move the session around, you know. I understand, and I get the concept of it's not me, it's energy just going through me to the individual. But before I have a Reiki session, a day before, I'm already thinking of the Reiki session coming up. So the day before, I'm prepping myself. I am sending Reiki. We said that Reiki can be sent in all manners of time and space, right? So I'm sending Reiki to the future, to that session. I don't even have a sip of wine. Like, I don't do any kind of alcohol prior. I don't eat meat. So there's different things that I do to prep myself, to get myself ready for that session. I want to show up the best version of me. So yeah, there's different things that I do prior to the session. And so if I get to that day and I'm not feeling well, then it's a message for me that I really need to step back and do, do something more. I really got to figure that out. Because already if I'm putting so much effort into it and I'm still not there 100%, I think it's just a message for me that I need to look after myself a little while longer so that I can be present for the individual, because we're also holding space, so when we're there for your Reiki client, you're holding space for them and for their healing. So you've got to feel well, because like emotions will come up, they they're probably going to want to talk about their experience after the session. I know that that's always happened with every single session I've ever done. Clients want to talk about what they experienced, what they saw, what they felt. So as a Reiki practitioner, you've got to be present for them, and you've got to be able to like support them in that, right? So that's why for me, it's important that I feel well when I go to the session so I can be there for them.
That's good. I love that a lot. And I think that sometimes in life, just kind of a general statement, really, when we've said we're going to do something, I think that very often we do it anyway, even if we're getting signs or, kind of symptoms that maybe tell us to like slow down or like rebook that appointment or whatever. Right. And it sounds to me as though you're honoring and checking in with yourself if you're getting that kind of almost an objection in a way, from yourself about that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's super important. So I do have like many more questions. I'm dying to hear about whether or not you have some success stories or miracles that you've witnessed yourself. But one just final question in relation to the healing part of Reiki. Do you need to get permission from somebody before you heal them? You did talk about the power of having a Reiki, somebody who understands Reiki in every family. If somebody knows Reiki in their family, can they send healing love and light to their family, or do they need to have permission from those individuals to receive it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the answer is yes, you should always get permission from that individual. There's a couple of instances where maybe you cannot get their permission because maybe they are, we're going to go like worst case scenario. Maybe they are in a coma in the hospital. Maybe they can't, right? They can't give you that permission. So in those cases, what we do then is we go in, we meditate, and then we ask our higher self to ask their higher self if they want to accept the healing or not. Right? And then, kind of depending on what your background is, it could be like, I know in shamanism, we ask their gatekeeper, or you might want to, others say ask their spirit guide, or, but basically what you're doing is you're asking their higher self if they will accept the healing. And you will get a knowing that's either yes or no. I always like to give my clients, friends or family, a way out when it's long distance like that, and I can't talk to them. I will ask for their permission ahead of time. If it's a yes, I go forward with it. But then I always ask the Reiki energy to ask prior, and if the answer has changed to a no, then to please go out and heal Mother Earth. So whatever healing was going to go to that individual, if they change their mind at the very last minute, or there's a block or something, then so that healing is not wasted, or whatever word you might want to use, I ask for that to go out to Mother Earth to heal her instead. So
I love that. That's great intention. And yeah, that I like everything about that answer. That's perfect. All right. So just before, we're kind of getting to the sort of middle to the end of the of our conversation, believe it or not, Lyndy, I would love to hear some success stories of where you've maybe seen Reiki work for people. You did mention, in the middle of our conversation earlier about all the ways that Reiki has been known to help and heal. But I can't help but be curious as to whether or not you have some favorites that have stood out for you over the 14 years you've been practicing.
Yes. So there are a few, and so I'll tell you about them.
Yes.
So one instance was so I had a client come in, and they kind of made this like a little fun thing where three friends came in at the same time, and so it was like one friend right after the other, right? And the one friend went in, and so I was doing Reiki on her. Then all of a sudden, she started saying, that hurts, stop, that hurts, stop. Well, as you know, with Reiki, you don't twist and turn, you don't manipulate anything. You're just like holding your hands at a certain spot, and around where she was saying, this is right around like her heart area, right? And something told me, or a voice just kind of said, was kind of guiding me through it. And and as you know, in Reiki, we often work with spirit guides or archangels, and I'm no different. I work with the archangels and with my teachers, my spirit guides. And so the voice was just telling me to pause, to kind of help her calm down a little bit, kind of connect with her. And I just said to her, you're okay. I need you to take a really deep breath right now. Okay. Let me just have you take a deep breath. And so I focused right around her heart area as she was breathing in and out. I was breathing in and out with her, and we were doing it together. And then all of a sudden, floodgates open up, and she's crying and crying and crying. So after the whole session is done and over with, we have a little debriefing, right? And so we talk about what had happened. So what had happened was that what she was feeling pain, it was blockages that were just releasing. She was in so much grief. One of her parents had died, and she was still dealing with that, with all the emotions, right? She hadn't allowed herself to really grieve fully. And it turned out this parent was really like her best friend, right? So what Reiki was doing for her is helping release that block, allowing her to feel that emotion, accept it. And then as she's crying, that was a releasing of all this grief that she had pent up inside, right? So that was amazing. That was amazing, because then after the session, she was like coming to terms with her emotions about the death, right? And as she's leaving, she feels lighter. Of course, she's super thankful. She didn't think anything that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And we talked about how the pain that she was feeling, it was really a physical manifestation of her emotions, right? And so even she said, I don't know how that could have hurt, because I wasn't doing anything to her,
Yeah.
And so that was just like her, like we even worked on, her moving. So as I'm giving her Reiki, I'm saying, breathe in, breathe out. Let me have you move this way. Let me have you move. And as she's moving, as I'm giving her Reiki, as she's breathing, that's when that release came. So that was really beautiful to witness. And of course, as she comes out and she tells her friends about it, they're all thinking the same thing's going to happen to them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so powerful. And that's life-changing. Like, you've just changed the course, the trajectory of that woman's life and everyone she meets along the way.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
So that was beautiful. And another one that has always stuck with me is I had a client come in who had issues with her joints. So she had a degenerative disease that affected her joints, and she had trouble just doing things like going up and down the stairs, or even like reaching for things. And so I worked on her, and she enjoyed coming. So she had like 3-4 sessions, like it was like once every 2 weeks, and she'd come in like once a month, and just kind of like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then every time she came in, sometimes you can't really tell, because some people can be pretty guarded. But I thought, well, as I'm working on, I'm like, okay, well, I'm getting a feeling of happiness, kind of relief. So I'm like, okay, so sometimes I will feel what the client is feeling, right? And so I'm like, okay, so this is all like positive. This is all good news. We're all good emotions that I'm feeling. So then at the end, she tells me, you know, I feel great. And I'm like, yes, I that's great. And I kind of thought so. I'm like, that's great. And so she told me that um she had invited some people over. It was the holidays. So she invited friends and family over uh, pre-COVID. And she found herself reaching for, she found herself first going down to the basement, just going down the basement. She was going up high, going down low, getting out pots and pans and saucers and all kinds of things, and then going and carrying all these things up the stairs. And it wasn't until she got up the stairs and put everything down on her counter that she said, wait a minute, that didn't hurt. That didn't hurt. And so then she was telling me how, you know, it had been years that she had been able to feel that way and just do things without thinking, I got to brace for the pain. I gotta brace myself, and so that was awesome because she says, like, she was cooking and she was like moving up the stairs, down the stairs, and carrying heavy things. And even her husband was saying, do you need help with that? Are you okay? And she was like, nope, I got it. I got it. I got it. So that's another way that I saw Reiki kind of little by little by little ease her joint pain. So
That's so wonderful. I love that. It sounds to me that, when you do your Reiki sessions, that you're often dealing with people who have ailments, who are struggling with grief, who have blockages, things that you've sort of mentioned. I guess I can't help but wonder how you protect yourself. Even though you're a conduit, you're a hollow bone, you're not, hopefully not taking on other people's stuff. Do you have a protection kind of tradition that you do to ensure that you aren't taking on people's stuff? Because it also sounds like you're empathic, so that might be difficult.
yeah, absolutely. So I protect myself with visualization, ask the archangels for protection, and then with crystals. I'll go through my little spiel, my little process
Yeah,
for
I'd
you.
love to hear that.
So when I go into the Reiki room, first of all, I cleanse it and I charge it with my Reiki symbols, right? Um, Cleanse it of all negativity, and I charge it up with the divine energy and healing energy that is Reiki. Okay, so I do that. And then once I'm there, I will ask Archangel Michael to protect me. So I say you can call it a prayer, request, so I reach out to Archangel Michael and I visualize him wrapping me up in his blue bubble of protection. Okay. And so I envision that blue light around me, then the white divine light around that. And then I'm protected. Okay. Another way you can do this, one of my teachers taught me, is that you can envision that you are inside a purple triangle, and then you draw the Choku Reiki symbol. You visualize that and you draw it and over you and over the triangle. So that's another way. If you're a Reiki practitioner, you can protect yourself.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. And then and so then while I'm there, I always go wearing my crystals. I've got a fluorite bracelet that I wear. I'll have amethyst in my pocket. I've got an onyx in the other pocket. I mean, I just bring out, and I always have amethyst, chunky crystal on my shelf, because amethyst is really good for a lot of different things. But one of the things that it does is it absorbs negativity, right? So it's a great protection stone.
Oh, I never knew that about amethyst.
Yeah, it's good for a lot of things. Creativity is one of them, but yeah, for absorbing negative energy. Yeah. And then when I'm all done with all that, I'm done with the sessions for the day. I take a selenite wand and then I just comb my whole aura with it, and I envision all the negativity just like getting stuck to the selenite wand. So that's what I
Oh,
do.
wow. I freaking love that. Where did you get a selenite wand?
I have them.
Do you sell them?
I do sell them. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're about to find out how people can get a hold of you, so we'll make sure we message that in there. That sounds so cool. I just think that, it can't be driven home enough about protection and cleansing, can it?
No, absolutely not. Because even if people don't really mean to send you their energy, but that's like cords, and I'm sure you're familiar with cords. um People, they see you as a healer, right? And I always feel really, like, I don't know, like that's I don't like to be called that, because I feel like, I don't know,
You're a
that,
conduit. You're like,
yeah,
I'm a conduit.
that's huge. I'm not doing anything. I don't have any special powers or anything. So
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. I don't have special powers. I'm a Reiki practitioner. It's like very different. But people see you as a healer, and they want to connect with you. So even if they don't mean to, they might, put out cords to you, right? And it kind of attach themselves to you. And so at the end of the day, you cut your cords. You want to make sure that when you go home, all the energy on you is your energy, that you're not carrying someone else's anxiety or their fatigue or their, whatever, their pains and symptoms and things like that.
Yeah, and for our listener at home as well, we have a really cool episode with Kiandra, and she is talking all about being an empath and like how to deal with that. So if looking for the next episode after this one, I would definitely head and check that one out, because it's super super important to know that. So, Lyndy, we're just getting near the end of our conversation. I've really enjoyed talking to you. Before I find out maybe some of those books you mentioned off the top, and also how people can get a hold of you, I would like to know, I guess kind of my second final question is that, do you meditate every day? What's sort of your spiritual practice, and what would you recommend if people are wanting to, kind of get into Reiki themselves, or just at least connect with the divine a little bit more?
Yeah. I meditate about 3 times a week. So I'm not at that part where I'm so disciplined that I do it 7 days a week. I don't.
Yeah.
I do it 3 times a week. And if we're talking about meditation, I always tell people, start with like 5 minutes of quiet time. Then gradually go up to 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It's, for me, it's a luxury. Some, we have very busy schedules. It's like same for everybody nowadays. Everybody's like so busy, you can't take 20 minutes, half an hour out of your day to meditate. But I will say that when I take the time to do a longer meditation, I do feel better that day. I feel better the following day. Um, so sometimes I can only do a short meditation. Sometimes I can do longer, but it does help. And I think that for anyone wanting to get into Reiki, meditating helps a lot, because it makes you stay in the present. Number one. Number two, it opens you up to receive messages from the divine. So, for example, when I'm doing a Reiki session, the reason I like to meditate beforehand is because it clears my mind and makes it easier for me to receive messages for the client. So whether it's something I see, like a vision, or maybe it's something I hear, I need to clear my mind and be present in order to give that message, right? In order to get it and in order to give it.
Yeah.
And I find that when I meditate, it just helps in so many different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. We had one episode, actually it's one of our first few episodes on the Afterlight, with a woman named Sandy Turkington. And she just explained it in a way that I'd never been taught it before. It was sort of around the idea that when you meditate, you almost have, I don't know if she explained it exactly like this, so I'm adding my own spin on it now, I suppose, but you almost have two channels. And when you're meditating, you're listening from one channel. And when you're not meditating, you have like the other channel. And it's exactly what you said. When you're opened up and you're meditating, you're allowing that channel to free flow, as opposed to almost putting it through our human mind and our personalities that we've kind of taken on here.
Yeah, right. It's like the filter. We're not putting it through our ego filter. You know, a lot of times you might think, oh, did I just say that? Oh, is it just my imagination? Oh, this can't be it. Well, once you meditate and you open yourself up, it's also that trusting, right? You quiet your mind, you get your brain out of the way, you get your ego out of the way, and you're like, all right, you know, divine, whatever, God, goddess, whatever, you know, you want to call, universe. You know, I'm trusting you. So whatever you tell me, you know, let me know. What do I need to tell this client? What do I need to tell so-and-so for her healing process, for her healing journey, or his? So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's perfect. And, you know, it comes down to trusting, like you said, and just not filtering that through anything other than, you know, just saying it. Yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. Well, Lyndy, thank you so much for being on the show. I've really enjoyed our conversation today. Thank you for your time and your wisdom. I would love to have you back talk about shamanism. You talked about some really cool things with Gatekeeper and Hollow Bone. That was just, you know, little like golden nuggets there, which I'd love to explore further at some point if you're keen on that. How can people sort of get into Reiki if they'd like to? Can you throw out some of those book titles if you know any of them off the top? Otherwise, I can throw them in the show notes. And also, how can people get a hold of you? Because I'm sure I'm not going to be the only one Googling how to get a wand from you.
So let me scoot over here for a second. I brought all my books.
Perfect.
So there are lots and lots of really good books out there for people that want to learn more about Reiki. And these are just a few of my favorites that I have. So this one's called Reiki for Life by Penelope Quest. Really, really good one. This is The Spirit of Reiki. Right there.
Yeah.
I recommend this one because this is the book that shows you a lot of the different hand positions, like above and beyond the basic ones that we learn in class, right? This is an amazing book. Women Are Healers is really, really good one too.
Oh.
And then Intuitive Reiki for Our Times. It's excellent. And the last one, you'll see this used in a lot of classes. Essential Reiki by Diane Stein.
Yes, I think I actually have that book in Canada.
Time to get it shipped to you, right?
Yeah, it is. I was just thinking that. It's like, oh, wait a minute. But some of those other books, I've never seen them before. And I buy all my books on, I'm not affiliated with this company, but I should be probably, Book Depository, because it's free shipping. So although, you know, you're in the States, so Amazon is a little bit probably your default.
Yeah. Well, what I like to do also, Lauren, is just go to these like older, I don't know how to say it, like they're almost like thrift shops for books where you see like the older books there. And those, I mean, those are a treasure trove a lot of times. That's where I pick up some of these self-healing books because they're, I don't know, they're just super interesting. So, so those are some different books. And I think if anyone is really interested in learning Reiki, they can always like Google who is in their area. But I would say do your research because it's really important to know. It's important to ask questions of your future or potential teacher. It's important to know where they learned Reiki, from whom, how long they've been studying it, you know, what their different branch is specifically, you know, that they studied. Ask questions. Don't be embarrassed. It's good to know. It's good to be informed.
Yeah, because really, you know, you don't know these people if you're just Googling them. And it's, you know, it's kind of the whole like running it through your filter and then seeing whether or not it resonates with you.
Right. And I will say that I'm an Usui Holy Fire Reiki master teacher. So anyone that is holy fire can give the attunements online. So as long as we're looking at each other, we can give the attunement. So not all Reiki branches do that, and the holy fire is one of those where we can we can do that. And so, you know, if you're interested, I also do classes. I do one-on-ones, but really, whoever you go with, make sure that you are compatible with their energy. It is super important. And one thing that was important for me is that I always want to be available for my students. So just because I give you a class today doesn't mean I'm going to forget about you next year. I'm always available, and I like that. I think it's important because as Reiki practitioners, we need to support each other. We need to help each other. And if one person has a question and, you know, I can answer it, then that's really how the modality is going to remain strong, you know, if we help
Yeah.
each
Agreed. And I think, you know, one of our previous guests was talking about how when you light your own light and everyone lights their light together, we all burn brighter, or something to that effect. And yeah. So if people want to get a hold of you, they can head to holistictherapyoasis.com. And then they can also check you out on Instagram, Lyndy_Reiki Master. And that's Lyndy. But I'll put all the links for Lyndy in the show notes, as well as some links to those fabulous books that she has mentioned. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I have really appreciated your time. Is there anything I didn't ask that you wanted to mention?
No. I mean, I had a great time. I had a great time. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was so much fun.
Was fun. Thank you.
Thank